Let me tell you a story. It was orientation day at my new college that I was about to attend, and as I walked in the orientation room, I had my back hunched, my eyes were looking down, and I timidly wrote my name on the piece of registration paper that I was here for attendance. Then I walked into the room, and because at that time I was already late and there were many seats filled, but I decided to go to the last row at the back of the room and decided to sit there where no one else was sitting. And therefore I sat there alone. As the orientation day passed by, with all the events and the ice-breaking events, I wouldn't really introduce myself that much, right? I would just say my name. And yeah, in general, I try to avoid people as much as possible. In fact, during lunch, I had only managed to speak with another friend who also wasn't able to make friends himself. So we just sat together quietly for lunch, and it was really just mainly awkward silence and just really monotonous small talk. Now, this remained pretty much the same throughout the first month of my college days, and this resulted in me not having the kind of college life that I expected, right? Because when you go into college, you kind of expect that everybody says, oh, it's going to be all fun and parties and stuff like that, but that really wasn't the case. So I decided to totally change my approach. I decided to go and meet as many new people as I could, and decided to become more courageous in my approach with people. And one day, I decided to approach a group of people who looked like they were pretty cool. What ended up is that, oh, I managed to join them as a group, and let me tell you, it was the most awkward experience of my life because they had already bonded over the first few sessions and they already got to know each other pretty well. And there I was, the newcomer, right? I had no experience. I didn't know what I was doing. And basically, when we all went to break together, they were all talking, and I was the one silent, eating my own meals because I was apparently the only one who packed my own food, right? Because when you go to college, well, it becomes not so cool to kind of pack your own food anymore, right? So everybody expects you to buy something to eat instead. Yeah, and I was that awkward kid, trust me. Now, eventually, as time progressed, I started to get to become a bit more comfortable with this group of people. But ultimately, I actually managed to get quite a few interesting eye-opening experiences that I wouldn't have if I hadn't approached this group of people. But just to come think of it, I had made so many mistakes along the way before I made friends and even after I made friends. Because even though you make friends with people, that doesn't mean that you're socializing the right way, right? The point of socializing, in my definition, is not that you speak or mix around with people. That's not the point, right? The most important thing is that socializing is you speak. It's not really you speak, but it's like you mix and hang out with people who you genuinely enjoy having fun with and whom uplift your life, right? Who improve your life in some sort of way. And both of you have a mutual beneficial friendship or relationship in this experience. And I'm not blaming the people that I met, but I was basically, with my poor social skills, I kind of sabotaged my own self in that aspect. And now, reflecting back to those times after 2 years and being now approaching my second year of university, I decided to look back and really reflect about that experience. And here's what I basically wish I told my 18 years old self about social skills and what I would have done differently and what I should have known by then. And I'm going to share about it in this video, and I hope you stay tuned because I don't know who you are out there watching this video, but if you are young and entering college like me, this could potentially help you a lot. Or basically you're entering a new workforce or any new environment, this would help you a lot. So let's get started. Now, the first thing I kind of want to address is the fact that you will definitely face some form of awkwardness or discomfort when you're meeting and socializing with new people, because even though we humans are social beings by nature, we are creatures of familiarity. So basically we like being around things that we are familiar with. So if you are meeting new people, they're definitely not going to be familiar, and no matter how much you try, no matter how big of a socializer you are, you're definitely going to feel awkward and you're definitely going to feel some form of discomfort. So what you need to do is you need to acknowledge these things and just kind of allow it to happen. You know, you expect it to happen. If you expect there to be some form of awkwardness or discomfort, you should just allow it to happen and continue forward anyways, because a courageous man is not one who doesn't feel fear, but he is one that feels fear but decides to do it anyway. And that's the philosophy you should have in this situation. And the second thing I kind of want to address is that appearance seriously matters so much in today's society. I mean, maybe back then, 50 years, maybe your parents, our parents' generation, maybe you could get away with looking a bit sloppier because I wouldn't even say you could get away with it, but like you wouldn't be judged super harshly on it because back then without social media and stuff like that, people did not see attractive people that often, and thus you wouldn't really be. Imagine you stay in a small village, in a small rural area, and people all dress the same way. It wouldn't be that big of an issue if you did not appear well dressed. But with today's day and age with social media and everybody looking like a TikTok boy or a party girl or basically like anyone who is attractive on social media, you're going to be judged pretty harshly based on your appearance. So when meeting people, regardless on your first time or on the usual day-to-day basis, but especially on the first time, you really want to make sure you are looking at your best. I'm not asking you to wear a suit by the way. I'm not asking you to go out, buy a suit, buy a full out tie, buy a full out suit and wear $1,000 watches or even bags. No, you don't need to go crazy with these luxury items, right? Just need to look presentable and clean. And if you want some more fashion advice, I mean, I'm not a fashion guru myself, but you can basically look around on Pinterest and find out what kind of style suits you, right? So yeah, people really judge you based on your appearance. No matter how good of a person you are, or no matter how bad of a person you are, if you look a certain way, people are going to associate you with that. And first impressions matter so much more than you realize. I really hope that I actually implemented this advice because trust me when I say my first day of orientation, I was dressed pretty badly, I must say, or wearing a basic t-shirt and just short pants and nothing, or just and I remember I didn't even shower that day when I woke up because I was a bit late. So yeah, never do that, that's for sure. And moving on to the third thing that I kind of want to share to my younger self is that I wish I wouldn't be so desperate to find friends at that point, because you see, here's the point, right? Have you ever heard like when you try so hard to get something, it becomes harder to get it? This was the thing that I kind of faced on the early part of my college days, which was like I was trying to be so desperately trying to find close people to be friends with, and what ended up is like I couldn't find it and I felt bad. And when you feel bad, you kind of have a bad mindset and you have a bad vibrational state. What ends up is people don't really like your vibe and they don't want to mix around with you. And that is definitely true for a lot of situations. And trust me, it's a self-repeating cycle and you don't want to be stuck in that. So instead, what you should do, you can just make small talk with people. Be fine with making acquaintances. Be fine with knowing people just by their names and not needing to know them much further than that, because the fact is, not everybody is going to be compatible to be your friend, or basically people who you want to be close with, right? Not everybody is going to be compatible with you, and just be fine with making acquaintances with everybody. And moving on to the fourth thing which I would like to share is basically like if you want to really be that popular guy in the friend group, you know what you gotta do? You actually gotta be the initiator. You have to actually basically push people and talk to people. And not only that, you can go even further than that. Let's say you want to host an event, invite people to your event, right? Don't wait for people to invite you to something. Invite others into your work, and that is how you become the popular person, because you're the kind of guy who basically has a life and has something interesting and fun going on with his life, and you inviting people into your frame, and this leads to you becoming that kind of person that everybody wants to associate with, and that is how you become good at socializing. Like trust me when I say 99% of people are waiting for that 1% to invite them into some kind of party or event. It doesn't need to be something degenerate. It could be even like, let's say you guys go rock climbing, you guys go to do some sort of team activity together. Could be anything. And moving on to the fifth thing, which is the thing that you should focus on once you start approaching people and you start getting to know people, is how do you get people to actually kind of like you in a way. I mean, once you start to get to know people more, another thing you should focus on, you should truly focus on, is that you should let people speak more about themselves, because deep down, although we may not admit it, we are all narcissists in some way or another, and people really like talking about themselves, right? What they love, what they like, their problems, and basically all their interests. So instead of trying to be that interesting person, be interested in them instead, and chances are they'll be more impressed with the fact that you always seem interested in what they have to say. Because trust me when I say, most people barely get the chance for others to listen to them, because most of the time others are just waiting to reply. And if you are that person who can truly listen to what they have to say and be interested as well, you'll be able to form pretty close friendships with the people who you want to form them with. Trust me when I say that. And moving on, once you get to know people a bit better and you finally start to hang out with people, here's what I wish I told myself, is that you should really have a strong boundary, because ultimately once you go to college, it depends on your country, but people are generally considered as adults at that point. And trust me when I say that this newfound freedom can feel very liberating for some, and people will do anything that they want to do, be it like partying, doing drugs, taking alcohol, and just about anything you could imagine, right? So as a man who cares for himself, you should be able to know our own boundaries and set our boundary so others don't cross them and we do not cross it. Because ultimately, when it comes to socializing with people, we are all susceptible to becoming influenced by them. Even if you're conscious about this fact, you'll be easily subconsciously be influenced by them, negatively or positively. So you need to be very strict about what you are willing to do and what you want to do. If these people are truly your friends, they'll respect that. If they don't, then why bother? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, any person with at least an average IQ and above knows that you are basically the sum of the 5 people who you spend the most time with. So you really need to pick the friends who you end up with carefully. Otherwise, you're going to be negatively influenced in a way you will not even be aware of. And by the time you realize it, it will be probably be too late. Yeah, you basically wasted quite a lot of time, which is so valuable. So remember, pick your friend carefully and always set very strict boundaries with yourself. Finally, on the 6th thing I want to say is basically you should learn to read people's body language, right? Because people unconsciously make a lot of body language cues which give a lot of information beyond what they are saying. Like, people may be saying they like you, but secretly behind, they are talking shit about you. You've always got to realize that this shit happens all the time, and you have to learn to read their facial expressions, their body gestures, and the way they talk to you. Try not to focus on the verbal things that people always say, because trust me when I say people can always change the words that they say, but they'll never change their action. So always look at their action first. When I say always, learn to read body language cues, because that shit just gives out so much information, man. I read so much that I told myself this when I was younger, and yeah, I wouldn't have to face misconceptions I had about people. Last but not least is the fact that you have to know that watching this video will not improve your social skills unless you really put yourself out there and meet new people, because ultimately, whether these people become really valued relationships or friendships in your life, that doesn't really matter, because you should really focus on the effort of putting yourself out there and meeting new people and getting to know people, even if they are not. Like, referring back to our previous point, you should try to make acquaintances, not close friends. Because once you go out into society, having lots of acquaintances is just a normal thing, because not everybody will be compatible with you. Always remember, never compromise your values, your beliefs, just in order to try to mix with other people, because honestly, while you're thinking you may be a nice person, that is really just selfish and not genuine, because you are not your authentic self whenever you are mixing with others, and people will definitely feel it, that's for sure. So put yourself out there, acknowledge that there's going to be discomfort, and embrace that discomfort and learn from it. You have so much gain from going through discomfort and meeting new people. Be it negative or positive experiences, you will ultimately learn lessons. I'm rooting for you, and I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.